So today we're going to restore these back to a good quality, not broken obviously, and I'm going to show you how to scuff and paint and get them ready to go. So it comes time in everyone's restoration that they're probably going to have to deal with their tail lights. Now whether you have a set of 79 to 82 like mine that are harder to find, or you've switched over to the newer style, the 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 93, whatever you got, at some point you're going to have to restore them or replace them. So today we're going to restore these, and I'm going to show you how to do it. First thing we're going to do, so on the back of your tail lamps, one thing you're going to notice is you're going to have these sockets. This is where your light bulbs go. So these are easily going to come out. You can just twist like a counterclockwise, take them out. And then once those are done, you're going to notice you're also going to have these studs coming out through the metal panel. They're going to have nuts on the back. So we need to take off the nuts on there, all the way on every stud, and that way the whole assembly will slide out from the metal back. Okay, so once you have your taillights taken off, you can then split your lenses off from your housings. So now for me, since the lenses are broken, I'm not too worried about taking them off. Normally you can try and pull them from either the outside corner, pull them up, and then just kind of pull around the edges. They are backed with butyl, so you'll notice there's things like this, the butyl's on there, and then you have your housing. So if you're going to keep your lenses, just be careful taking them off. If they're already broken in that, yeah, just rip them off, you'll be fine. Now, once you have everything taken apart, now's a good time to clean and assess what you have available. So if you have good lenses, are they good enough, or are you going to refinish them? Are the housings good enough? So mine, the housings are in good shape other than the black is dull, so I'm going to scuff this and repaint it with the SEM Exterior Trim. You'll notice that the butyl itself there needs to be replaced. It cracks over time, it just kind of dries out, and in 35 years you would expect that. So just to kind of show you the fun that you can find, see all that silicone in there, that white? How much time did it take to put all that silicone in? This is the passenger side tail light that I scuffed and took all that silicone off. Man, that's a lot of silicone. Who did that? Now, if you're cheap like me, you keep an eye out for deals. And of course, the 79 to 82 taillights are not reproduced and are not available commercially. So you've got to look through forums, junkyards, etc. So I kept an eye out a while ago. I knew I needed a set, and I found a set plus a few more that I've already sold to make back some investment. So now these are in good shape. The 79 to 82 do have black around the edges and in between the lenses themselves. So with these, I'm going to scuff this with 400 grit all the way over. The red lenses and the white are going to be clear coated straight over. The black will be repainted with SEM Exterior to match the housings and to match the car itself. And then I'll put them all back together with new butyl once I get it ordered. Now, one thing I also wanted to do prior to putting new taillights in that all look refreshed is put them back on a crappy looking car. So, taking off all the housings and that, and the plate was off, you know this was black because they spray bombed it, whoever did it previously. And then behind the taillights was the natural gray from the color of the car. There's kind of the medium gray. So I wanted that to be all black, so I'm going to paint that just a straight black all the way across. So I've cleaned it with a green Scotch-Brite. I took out all the silicone that was behind this housing here, and then I've hit it with 2 coats of filler primer. Now, I've let this cure. I've also hit it again with a green Scotch-Brite, and that is just to scuff off any overspray itself. Hello, little kitty. And once there, I'm going to clean that off and just hit it with a flat or kind of a satin black that will hopefully match the rest of the car once I get the wide body and everything else on. It'll at least match itself. Oh, hello. It'll at least match itself, and that way your tail lights will look fresh against a car that doesn't look like it just came out of a junkyard. Wow. All right. All right, so once you have everything stripped off, so all the butyl's off the back edges here, you can then start sanding on this. Now I'm using 400 grit paper, and what you'll find is that if you wet it a little bit, it gives it a little bit of less friction to go on it. But you're just going to rub sandpaper off. Now you can use either a straight or a curve, kind of depends on you really, but I used a little bit of both, really straight and kind of a circular on the edge. Now in this area here I did have some scratches in it, so took a little extra time, sanded that down, but it gives it kind of a dull finish when it's all cleaned up. You can kind of tell it's a little dull, it's not shiny. So now I need to tape up the kind of the, I don't know if you call them the bulges, whatever you call them, tape those up there just to give me the in-between and the edges here where the black was, so that I can paint that black, clean it, paint it, and then from there I can just re-clean the lenses, take all the tape off, obviously clean it, then I need to clear coat over it, which will then seal everything in and give you a great looking taillight. Okay, so here's the tail lamp lens taped. Now I'm going to give you a little tip. So tape is not going to want to go around all these little curves and fun things in there. While you can get them kind of on the sides, I've been doing the lengths, wrapping around the edges. What you'll find is you'll get these little tips up top. As you fold it over, it doesn't want to conform right to the edge. And that's okay. So when you fold them over and you get these kind of like wild little tip edges off there, what you can do is use your nail, get a good crisp line down to the base, then lightly take a razor blade and just kind of go around the edges. That'll take off the little tips, give you a very crisp painting line, and then when you're done, clean, paint, and then you can take off the paint and be wowed. Alright y'all, so this is the finished product of the taillights themselves. So what I've done is I've painted everything after I taped it up, and it's been about 3 to 4 coats on there. You'll just have to keep an eye on it and make sure you don't have any blemishes or anything else on the paint, and do it one piece at a time. Now, in order to try and cut down on dust and bugs and anything else that somebody else said I'm putting in my paint, I've used a heat gun to try and flash off the paint before I bring it back inside and let it cure. That'll get rid of kind of the solvents out of it and make it less tacky and kind of give you a better stuff. The SEM stuff does dry pretty fast. So, why 3 or 4 coats? Well, that's what it takes to get it to where it's not translucent anymore. So you can take these, you can hold them up to the sun, and then you can notice that they're no longer red translucent or even a little bit coming through there, and that way you make sure they are completely blacked out in between and along the sides. Now, with that done, I just need to peel off this tape and then clean and get ready for clear coat. Alright, so you can kind of see in that is terrible. So I'm going to do that again. I don't even know what that is about. It's not chemically mixing with something, but either way, top piece looked good, side piece, no bueno. I got to sand that and do it again. Alright, so now with the lenses in pretty good shape, other than I need to fix that one, I'm going to work on the housing themselves. So what I've done is painted everything in the SEM black, but also you can see that I've covered up in the silver piece inside. So tear that off out of the way. You can see that the silver is inside. Now I'm going to leave this alone. I'm not going to paint it. I don't think it needs to be redone, but you can do the same thing. Sand it, scuff it, whatever you want to do. Repaint it silver, white, chrome, whatever you want to do. There's some good stuff out there, but these, I'm going to leave these alone. I think they're going to be in good shape because I got another idea in mind later on that I think will kind of not need repainting anyway. Okay, so with all of the covering taken off, you can now see on the edges here, this is a channel where butyl goes. So these are measured with calipers. I measured them there at 0.30 inches. So what I'm going to do is use some window weld, which is a 3M base. Now that is a 1/4 inch by 15 feet long. So I'm going to use a 1/4 inch. And since it's rounded, I'm going to put it in the center and then just use a screwdriver, kind of flatten it out so that it expands and fills this channel up. That way, when you put your taillight lenses in, they'll go in the center because of the clips. That will center it, and they'll squish down in there. Now, when you put them together in, You just kind of squeeze it together all around the edges. Don't go crazy strong at one place at one time because you'll put too much on the lens and it'll crack. So once your butyl is in, you kind of laid it down with either a screwdriver or something like that. Then you can take your lens, set it over top, kind of squeeze around the edge all the way around until you get it to where it snaps in here and you know it's good and tight. And then you're ready to put it back in the car. Okay, so there's the completed butyl all the way around, and you can just see I've left the paper on, but if I peel it off, it's there. Now it's just a matter of smoothing it down so that when the lens goes in, it will be on there and it will kind of squeeze up and around to seal it, basically. Okay, so there's the finished product of the butyl. Now, if you don't want to buy the 3M kit, you can buy just a kit specific to this, to the taillights themselves, if you want to do that. Otherwise, you can just get the 3M kit. It should be the same stuff, and there's different sizes, but I prefer the 1/4 inch because I feel like it fills out the channel enough. So you can measure your taillights if you want to verify for yourself. If it's roughly about 1/3 of an inch or so, you can go with the 1/4, or you can go with a little bit less, like a 5/16. All right, so once you have your butyl all set down in there, now you've got it flattened out with your finger. Now's the time to really get it sit down in there. I like to use just a simple flathead screwdriver, very thin. And I'm going to take the piece that held on the butyl itself, kind of the wrapper. You can lay it down on side there, lay it on top of the butyl like this, and then run a screwdriver all the way down it. Now what that's going to do is it's going to kind of push it flat, and you're going to drag the screwdriver across it. Now it's going to give it a nice flat contour, and it's going to help distribute it out in the channel. Once you're done there, and you've got it all the way around, you can then go back in with the tip. Just push down on the center of the paper itself, and then that's going to push down a little bit of a V section, and then we'll give kind of a guide path of where the taillight wants to go. The butyl will then kind of flow up and around, and you can push it down in there easily. Now don't forget, you should have a rubber piece that goes on the side, and these are curved to match, so they've got kind of a hook shape there. So that hook is actually going to go on the edge here on the rubber piece. Once you're done there, and then the tail light you'll fit from the outside, and you're going to start fitting it there, and then tilting it down and laying it down, and then pushing it all in together. That way it seals properly. So again, outside in, all the way down. Okay, so there's going to be your finished product once you're done. Now, once you've got the lenses and the bases together, make sure you squeeze them. And if you feel like you can't get them really with your hand, you don't have enough hand strength, what you can do is you can then install the bases to the body with these at least put in place where the butyl grabs it. You can just use some washers on the back, maybe the 4 corners, and then just use the, kind of use your body weight, just kind of push along the edges all the way around. And that way it kind of has reactive force against the body where you're using a lot of weight versus trying to use hand strength. Just a little tip. Now, as you go to put these in for the last time, make sure on the back of the washers you put a little bit of butyl on there. They come from the factory with a little bit of butyl on the inside to help keep water from pushing in, and then the studs will contact the body. So that is it for this time. That's how to restore your tail lights. Now, I will mention this, and I think I know why I had trouble with that other tail light with this stuff. When I was doing this the first time, someone suggested, or a couple of guys suggested off Instagram, that I needed to use a polishing compound like a headlight restore kit. So I did buy one of those, and I did it on one of the lenses, and I didn't like it. I didn't think it really came out like I wanted. So this is with clear coat, obviously, but the polishing, I think, can't get down in these grooves in there, and I just didn't think it came out right. I think on the longer ones, on the 83 to 93s, you could probably do that. You could probably scuff it with some 400 or 1000 or whatever you want to do, and then polish it out and try it that way. I didn't like it, but the lens that I did try it on, I think, is the one that had a chemical reaction to that. So most of it came out okay. It was right there on the edge, on the corner. I'm just going to resand that off, tape up where I don't want to sand, resand that off, re-clean it, and then re-clear it, and I will get that done and put on, which is the driver's side, obviously. So that's it for this time. Hopefully you guys have better luck than I did and get it all done in one shot. If you have any questions on how to do it, drop me a line. Otherwise, Basin Motorsports, out.